wants to close up her shop, drink with her friends, and forget about everything else. But her holiday night takes a violent turn when a defective robotic Santa Claus, originally designed for military use, malfunctions and stalks the snowy streets as a relentless killing machine. As neon lights flash against swirling snow, the robot Santa slaughters anyone in its path, dragging Ori and her closest allies into a brutal fight for survival amidst exploding Christmas decorations and chaotic carnage. Directed and written by Joe Bigos, this slasher sprays gore and dark humor across the holiday backdrop, blending old-school bloodshed with a twisted seasonal twist. Number 9. The Elixir. A once-respected herbalist brews a powerful elixir deep in the jungles of Indonesia. Cure the incurable and restore his broken family's legacy. She doesn't heal, corrupts. Those who take it rise again, hungry and mindless, spreading like wildfire through the village. As the infection consumes everything, his estranged children are forced to reunite and survive the horrors their father unleashed. Machetes in hand and guilt in their hearts, they must face a nightmare born from blood and ambition. Directed by Kimo Stamboil, the elixir blends zombie terror with traditional mysticism, where ancient remedies birth modern rhythm. Number 8. Sumala. In a forgotten village wrapped in silence, a grieving twin begins to hear whispers of her dead sister, Sumala, a child murdered at birth to erase a shameful secret. Past does not sleep. As nights grow longer, shadows stretch across cornfields, and those who once stood silent begin to vanish one by one. Eyes stare from the dark, and a lullaby long buried returns with a scream. Kumala must face her family's sins as the spirit of her sister grows stronger. Feeding on pain, here. Directed by Rizal Mantovani, this chilling Indonesian ghost tale draws its terror from twisted bonds and ancient curses. When blood ties rot beneath the surface, something cold and merciless rises to take its place. Number 7. A classic horror story. Five strangers carpool through the Italian countryside, but when their RV crashes in the middle of nowhere, they wake to find themselves trapped in a twisted urban nightmare that seems ripped from every horror film ever made. Wooden effigies hang from the trees, a strange cabin appears without explanation, and masked cultists begin their ritual hunt. As reality fractures, the survivors realize they're caught in something far worse than fiction. Nightmares scripted with blood and deception. Directed by Roberto De Feo, this metafictional horror turns tropes against the viewer, where nothing is what it seems and every scream is part of something sinister behind the curtain. Number 6. Hard Eyes. On Valentine's night, 2 office workers stay late, trying to avoid the world. But something else is already inside. The masked killer known only as Hard Eyes is stalking the city, slicing through couples with surgical precision and leaving behind blood-soaked symbols of love gone wrong. Mistaken for lovers, Allie and Jay are thrust into a deadly game of survival, dodging death through candlelit alleys and shattered flower shops. As their bond deepens under fire, the killer grows more obsessed, and the night spirals into a bloodbath wrapped in murder. Directed by Josh Rubin, this holiday slasher paints Valentine's Day in arterial spray and twisted romance, where every heartbeat may be your last, and love is a target marked in crimson. Number 5. Thanksgiving.
I don't want to spend my life looking over my shoulder. I need to stop.
Massachusetts, birthplace of the holiday, becomes the hunting ground of a masked killer dressed as a colonial pilgrim who slashes his way through the town after a Black Friday tragedy leaves deep scars. A year later, invitations, sharpened axes, and hollowed-out victims mark the beginning of a new tradition soaked in vengeance. As the townspeople try to carry on, they're picked off one by one in grisly, thematic ways tied to the feast they once celebrated. Directed by Eli Roth, this holiday horror carves through small-town secrets with relentless brutality. table is set, the knives are out, and this year no one gets to say grace before the screaming starts. Number 4, Cobweb.
Enough!
8-year-old Peter lives in a quiet suburban home with strict, overbearing parents who say everything they do is to protect him. But when he starts hearing knocks behind the bedroom wall and whispers from the darkness, his fragile world begins to splinter. He always tells him secrets, terrible ones, about what lies beneath the floorboards and the truth lurking within his own family. Peter digs deeper. The terror inside the house begins to leak out, and the line between imagination and reality collapses. Directed by Samuel Boudin, Cobweb wraps childhood fear in a suffocating blanket of silence, secrets, and something crawling in the dark. Number 3, 28 years later. Nearly 3 decades after the raid virus ravaged, a small community of survivors ekes out a fragile existence on a tidal island, cut off from the infected chaos that still consumes the mainland. 12-year-old Spike and his father Jamie venture across the causeway for a coming-of-age hunt. They confront evolved horrors that blur the line between predator and nightmare. As Peter Wade, Spike carries the weight of his ailing mother Isla, driven by hope and fear into the deadliest parts of the quarantined mainland in search of answers and salvation. Directed by Danny Boyle, this horror blends relentless undead terror with the emotional crucible of family bonds and survival instinct. Number 2, Cursed. In the late 1800s, a wealthy land baron slaughters a Romani clan to seize their sacred land. But from the soil they cursed, something monstrous takes root. Soon his village is plagued by visions, nightmares, and brutal deaths that defy nature. Children disappear, bodies are found savaged. A silver fang unearthed near the site of the massacre becomes the key to a transformation no one can stop. When pathologist John arrives, he uncovers a horrifying truth. This is no simple curse, but a spreading infection that turns men into beasts. Directed by Sean Ellis, the curse delivers a grim, atmospheric werewolf tale wrapped in folklore and tragedy. The evil stalking this land wears the face of both man and monster, and once bitten, there is no redemption, only hunger. Number 1, Deadstream. Desperate to reclaim his disgraced online fame, controversial streamer Sean Ruddy locks himself overnight in a haunted house and live streams every moment. But what begins as a stunt quickly spirals into a waking nightmare when he awakens the true terror buried beneath walls. Alone, cornered and hunted by something ancient and furious, his camera never stops rolling, even as his screams echo through rotting halls and his chat feed becomes a graveyard of emoji and disbelief. Directed by Joseph and Vanessa, Deadstream blends found footage horror with razor-sharp satire, turning influencer culture into a blood-soaked descent into supernatural chaos. There are 4 other movies you have to see. Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight. Teenagers are sent to an off-grid, gluten-free camp deep in the forest for a weekend retreat. As men to break their dependence on devices quickly turns into a deadly ordeal when a mysterious killer begins stalking the woods. Cut off from the outside world and hunted through the trees, they must fight to survive the relentless threat. Silent Hill. Rose searches for her missing adopted daughter and is drawn to the eerie, fog-shrouded town of Silent Hill after news point there. Inside the ghostly streets and abandoned buildings, reality shifts and nightmarish creatures emerge from the pervasive darkness. The town's haunting secrets and unsettling cult history reveal themselves as Rose delves deeper into Silent Hill's mysteries. Till dawn.
What? Is it gone?
Yeah, it's gone.
What? It's still in the day!
After her sister's mysterious disappearance, Clover leads a group of friends into a remote valley where the missing trail seems to end. Once there, they find themselves caught in a supernatural time loop that forces them to relive a night of escalating horrors repeatedly. Masked threats and monstrous creatures stalk them as they search for a way to break the cycle and survive until dawn. Hellhole. Set in 1987 Poland, a police officer investigating mysterious disappearances infiltrates a remote monastery with a barred reputation. Inside the ancient walls, he encounters unsettling rituals and hidden secrets that defy explanation. As he digs deeper into the strange occurrences tied to the clergy, the truth about the monastery's sinister activities begins to surface. Step into the shadows with 10 creepy hidden horror gems you can stream right now. From pulse-pounding scares to twisted tales of terror, these chilling pics will crawl into your mind and stay there. 10. Dorothy.
Some evil shit is going on. Dorothy's not the problem.
On a remote Irish isle, whispers surround Dorothy Mills, a troubled teenager accused of trying to strangle an infant while babysitting. But she insists she did no such thing. The Dublin psychiatrist Jane Van Dopp, grieving her own losses, is sent to untangle the mystery and assess Dorothy's fractured psyche amidst a tightly knit community that clings to its own traditions and faith. As Jane probes deeper, she confronts a tangled weave of psychological shadows, shifting personalities and eerie revelations that blur the line between clinical disorder and despicable. Director Agnes Merle crafts a slow burn psychological horror that leans into the unsettling atmosphere of secrecy, suspicion, and the hidden pains of a small world bracing against an outsider's scrutiny. Number 9. The Hole in the Ground.
Tell me the truth.
I am!
Stop lying! I'm not lying!
Fresh from the forests of rural Ireland, single mother Sarah moves with her young son Chris to an isolated countryside home to rebuild their lives after leaving a troubled past behind. Soon after settling in, a vast, mysterious sinkhole looms at the edge of the surrounding woods, and when Chris briefly disappears near it and returns changed, quieter, stranger, and unexplainably distant, Sarah's concern turns into obsession as subtle shifts in his behavior unsettle her more each day. Directed by Lee Cronin in his chilling feature debut, The Hole in the Ground draws on eerie folklore while blending atmospheric horror with the timeless terror. Number 8. Beyond the Black Rainbow. Within the eerie corridors of the Arboreal Institute in 1983, a heavily sedated young woman named Elena sits trapped in a strange, retro-futuristic compound. The time seems to fold back on itself and each room pulses with hypnotic lighting and color. Possesses burgeoning psychic abilities that her captor, the aloof and unsettling Dr. Barry Nile, keeps suppressed through bizarre technological means as he pursues his own warped vision of enlightenment and control. Across this surreal psychological landscape, reality bends into abstraction, leaving viewers piecing together unsettling clues amid long, trance-like sequences and hallucinatory synth tones. 7. Tokyo Gore Police. In a fragmented near-future Tokyo, where law enforcement has been fully privatized, the city writhes under the threat of horrifying engineers, mutated humans whose wounds grotesquely transform into lethal weapons of bone, chrome, and flesh. Yuka, a relentless specialist within the Tokyo Police Corporation, lives to hunt these engineered terrors while driven by a personal mission to uncover the architect behind her father's brutal killing. As she slices through the city's twisting alleys and propaganda-laden broadcast breaks, every encounter fuses savagery with outrageous spectacle, painting a world where the grotesque is business as usual and survival demands blade and bravado. Tokyo Gore. Police embraces cyberpunk splatter aesthetics with gleeful excess and practical effects that challenge the senses. 6. Hush. On a desolate stretch of the M1 motorway at night, young couple Zake's and Beth's weary journey takes a chilling turn when a passing truck reveals a bound, screaming woman trapped in its cargo. The moment that ignites a desperate chase into the darkness. Begins as disbelief and frustration quickly morphs into terror as Zakes becomes convinced the vehicle and its enigmatic driver are connected to a spate of disappearances. And Beth vanishes without a trace after they pull over. Authorities dismissing his frantic claims, Zakes is forced to plunge deeper into the bleak roadside labyrinth in search of his missing partner. Directed by Mark Tonderai, Hush leans into relentless pursuit and mounting uncertainty, capturing the stark fear of being stalked, no one to trust, and no way out. Number 5. Hope. In the mist-shrouded English countryside of 1928, skeptical parapsychologist Professor David Ash has spent his life debunking claims of the supernatural, until a plea from a distressed housekeeper lures him to the sprawling Incubi manor to investigate eerie occurrences that have left its occupants unnerved. Tasked with separating fact from fiction, Ash finds himself drawn deeper into the manor's secrets as subtle, inexplicable phenomena begin to unsettle his rational worldview. Memories of his own tragic past seep into every dark corridor and echoing hall. The labyrinthine rooms in autumn fog becomes entangled with the enigmatic Christina and her troubled family, each hiding motives as shadowed as the estate itself. Number 4. Deep Rising. They're dead in the water. Far out on the South Pacific, a ragtag crew of ruthless hijackers hires salty boat captain John Finnegan to ferry them to the luxury liner Argonautica, where they plan to sink the ship for insurance cash. When they board, the lavish vessel lies eerily empty and silenced. Should have been an easy heist turns into chaos as gigantic, ravenous, tentacled sea creatures erupt from the deep and ensnare anyone in their path, forcing mercenaries and cunning thief named Trillian battle for survival in blood-soaked corridors and flooded decks. Directed by Stephen Sommers, Deep Rising blends high-octane action, B-movie creature terror, pitting humans against an unseen abyssal force that attacks without warning or mercy. Number 3. Macabre. On a seemingly ordinary road trip to the airport, 6 friends, including newlyweds and close companions, encounter a mysterious young woman begging for help after an alleged robbery, to offer her a ride that will irrevocably change their night. She leads them to her remote family home under the guise of gratitude. The group is welcomed in with warmth that quickly curdles into horror as the matriarch Dara and her kin reveal themselves to be murderous and cannibalistic, drawing them into a relentless cycle of captured terror and desperate attempts to escape. Macabre revitalizes slasher horror with visceral intensity, practical effects, and escalating encounters that test every character's will to survive. 2. Successful sculptor Gambier leads what seems to be an enviable life, famed for his striking statues and surrounded by his elegant wife and close friends, until a series of cryptic messages begging me arrives from an unknown sender, pulling him into a world he doesn't understand. As he investigates, he stumbles upon unsettling broadcasts depicting cruelty and abuse, the hidden locked door in his own home that his wife insists he never open, and unsettling truths that blur the boundary between what is real and what might be lurking in the corners of his mind. The forbidden door unfolds like a psychological labyrinth where every clue draws Gambier deeper into obsession. Eerie ambiguity. 1. Dream Home. In the neon-lit high-rises of Hong Kong, Chung Lai Shung has one burning ambition: to own a sleek apartment with a shimmering childhood as she watched family and friends forced out by rising rents. Prices surge and her dream deal falls apart. Bai Sheng's quiet determination curdles into something far darker, and she embarks on a calculated and grisly campaign against everyone with that elusive home, using everyday objects and unexpected means to turn her frustration into a relentless downward spiral of violence. Dream Home is a razor-edged slasher that entwines socioeconomic desperation with jaw-dropping carnage, grounding its shocking scenes in a story about longing, sacrifice, and how far someone might go when pushed beyond their limits. There are 4 other movies you have to see. The Incident. It follows a group of asylum kitchen workers who find themselves trapped inside a locked psychiatric facility during a sudden power outage. As the lights go out, the normally restrained environment quickly shifts into chaos. No help arriving in the building sealed by malfunctioning locks. Unseen dangers begin to emerge among the inmates. Citadel. The film centers on a young father living with debilitating fear after a terrifying attack on his family leaves him shaken and struggling to leave his home. He must venture back into the world to protect his child. His deepest anxieties are put to the test. The story blends psychological tension with ominous threats that seem to lurk just beyond the edges of his vision.
Pieces of you missing.
What happened with your finger? Just, a little freak accident with, the lawnmower.
Pop is a horror comedy about an ordinary man whose life takes an unexpected twist when events unfold that blur the line between reality and bizarre dark humor. Along the way, he encounters strange characters and escalating situations that upend his sense of normalcy. With sharp dialogue and unconventional setups, the film twists familiar genre elements into an offbeat tale. Monster Party. Three small-time thieves embark on a planned robbery at what seems like an easy target, a wealthy private gathering. Their scheme quickly goes off the rails as they realize the hosts and guests are far from ordinary and they've stumbled into something far more dangerous. As events escalate inside the mansion, survival becomes the only thing that matters.
Stop it! What are you doing, Mom?
If you're tired of the same typical horror movies and want something darker, more disturbing, and way more savage, you're in for a nightmare. Let's dive into 20 brutal hidden horror gems you've probably never seen and won't forget anytime soon. Honey, go on. Miles Grissom is paralyzed by fear, not of heights, not of death, but of what comes after. Desperate for peace, he offers a cash reward to anyone who can prove the existence of an afterlife. What follows is a chilling odyssey through dark hallways, eerie roadside motels, and the razor-thin veil between life and beyond. Co-directed by Jesse Holland and Andy Whitman, Go On blends paranormal dread with emotional resonance. Grief becomes a gateway to something much darker. The fear here creeps in slowly, tightening its grip as the truth unravels. There are no demons or monsters, only voices from the other side, and a haunting realization that knowing the answer may be worse than the question.
Is this what you want?
Stop it!
Right now.
A young couple travels to a shady Eastern European clinic for cosmetic surgery, only to stumble into a blood-rich nightmare when an experimental procedure awakens a ravenous zombie infection in the basement. As the virus spreads and flesh tears like wet paper, scalpel-wielding doctors, half-sedated patients, and mutated horrors overrun the halls. Yummy is a Belgian splatter fest soaked in dark humor, arterial spray, and medical-grade mayhem. Each narrow corridor becomes a trap, with a brutal treatment of butchery, as survival boils down to who can run faster or kill quicker. Number 18, Dark as the Night. forest. Strange tracks appear, livestock vanish, and the townspeople grow restless with fear. Directed by Jack Heller, Darkness the Night is a slow burn creature feature that draws its power from isolation and dread. Sheriff Paul Shields, still haunted by personal tragedy, must face a primal terror lurking just beyond the tree line. Something not entirely human, and entirely hungry. In its bleak setting, creeping suspense and shadowy menace, the film builds a chilling atmosphere that tightens like a noose. Number 17, Masking Threshold.
Yes, there's a change. Oh my god.
In the cluttered, windowless room lit by fluorescent agony, a skeptical IT worker records a personal experiment to cure his debilitating hearing disorder. Begins as documentation, soon spirals into obsession, madness, and something inhuman. He believes the source of the sound is not biological but metaphysical, and each test he performs peels back a layer of his sanity. The film blends psychological horror with experimental cinema pulled entirely through macro lenses, whispered voiceover, and a claustrophobic descent into delusion. It lures the viewer into a space where silence mutates into ritual, isolation distorts logic, and every drawer opened hides a deeper, inexplicable truth. Number 16, You Might Be the Killer.
I hate to ask you this, but are you sure you're not the killer?
Camp Counselor Sam calls his horror movie-obsessed friend Chuck in a panic, drenched in blood and surrounded by corpses. One question hangs in the air. What if he is the killer? Piece together the grisly events at Camp Clear Vista. Slasher tropes collide with self-aware terror in this darkly comedic bloodbath. Directed by Brett Simmons, the film is a meta-horror gem that slashes through genre cliches with wicked glee. It's a clever dance of memory loss, masks, and brutal kills where the line between victim and villain dissolves in a frenzy of gore. Equal parts satire and slasher, it weaponizes horror fan knowledge and turns it into a killing guessing game drenched in campfire carnage. The 15 Popular. Students organize an all-night horror movie marathon inside a creaky old theater. To discover a masked killer is making them off using the vintage props and gimmicks from the films themselves. As the line between real and real violence blurs, screams echo not from the screen but from the darkened aisles and blood-spattered balconies. Directed by Mark Harrier, Popcorn is a love letter to horror history laced with murder, identity twists, and razor-edged camp. Behind the creature masks and fog machines lies a deranged killer with a vendetta tied to a lost film that was never meant to be seen. Every flickering frame becomes a weapon, and each death a nod to the genre's gruesome glory days. Number 14, B2. Christmas Eve, Angela's late night at the office turns into a nightmare when she finds herself locked inside the underground parking garage. Alone, or so she thinks. A seemingly helpful security guard named Thomas soon reveals a twisted obsession, turning the silent concrete gloom of level B2 into a trap lined with fear. Directed by Frank Kalfoun, the film transforms holiday cheer into claustrophobic terror. Cold fluorescent lights and echoing footsteps become instruments of dread. With every passing minute, the garage becomes a prison, the shadows deeper, the escape routes fewer. It's a cat-and-mouse thriller soaked in tension, where survival depends on wit, will, and whatever sharp object you can find. Sometimes the real horror waits in the places we think are safest. Number 13, Corpse Washer. In a remote Indonesian village, Layla inherits her mother's solemn profession as a corpse washer, only to find something sinister hidden within her mother's body that defies both faith and flesh. As mysterious deaths mount, she must navigate grief, and the sacred task of cleansing the dead while peeling back layers of a curse that blurs the line between the living and the beyond. The corpse washer drips with ritual dread, quiet unease punctuated by sudden otherworldly shocks. Amidst perfumed cloths and ceremonial water, the boundary between tradition and terror corrodes. And Layla's choices may determine whether the dead stay buried or rise again. Number 12, The Signal.
Oh, honey, you're hurting me.
Turn the TV on and there it was.
1 out of 2 people just started killing. They just decided to kill people.
mysterious transmitter beacons pulsing through every phone, TV, and radio, warping listeners into frenzied killers with a single terrifying purpose: purge the ones they love. As three interconnected stories unfold: a desperate escape, a bloody love triangle, and a mind-bending hallucination. The signal spreads like a virus, turning sanity into static. Directed by David Bruckner, The Signal is a fractured, apocalyptic vision where trust crumbles and madness speaks through static. Reality splinters into paranoia and grief as characters drift between clarity and carnage, unsure if the violence around them is real, or just the last gasp of their dying minds. Backcountry. Adventures into the remote Canadian wilderness for a romantic camping trip. Their journey quickly turns into a harrowing fight for survival. Lost, unprepared, and stalked by a territorial black bear, they must rely on instinct as nature turns brutally unforgiving. Directed by Adam McDonald, the film is a visceral descent, man versus wild terror, grounded in realism and stripped of safety. The lush forest becomes a labyrinth of danger, where every rustle in the underbrush could be the last sound you hear. There are no supernatural elements, just raw, predatory fear that tears through the calm like claws through flesh. It's a true-to-life nightmare that reminds us the woods don't care who you are. There are 4 other movies you have to see. Sleep tight. Cesar is a concierge in a quiet Barcelona apartment building where he masks deep, festering hatred behind a polite smile. Obsessed with one of his cheerful tenants, he begins infiltrating her life in secret, turning her happiness into his personal battlefield. Be My Cat, a film for Anne.
No. Shirley, don't know. I like. What? You now.
An aspiring Romanian filmmaker records a disturbing audition tape to send to actress Anne Hathaway, spiraling into delusion and obsession as his fantasy turns fatal. Using real locations and guerrilla-style filming, he manipulates and terrorizes actresses in an attempt to impress his muse. The footage becomes increasingly unhinged, blurring fiction and reality in horrifying ways. Citadel.
Jesus.
After his wife is killed by a gang of faceless hooded youths, agoraphobic Tommy is left to raise his infant daughter alone in a decaying housing complex. The attackers were no ordinary kids. There's something far darker, and they're not done with him yet. As Tommy is pushed to the edge of madness, he must confront the monsters both outside and within. Horror in the high desert.
The feeling of dread, the sixth sense that he needed to get out of it.
3 years after the mysterious disappearance of an outdoor survivalist in the Nevada wilderness, the documentary revisits the case to uncover what really happened. Using mockumentary techniques and found footage, the story slowly peels back layers of unease and isolation. As the truth comes into focus, the final recovered footage reveals something unnatural and horrifying. Undead evil.
No bleeding. God, it feels like something bitten.
5 strangers become trapped in a skyscraper elevator, their rising panic turning into terror as they realize one of them may be the devil in human form. As the lights flicker and bodies begin to fall, suspicion tears through the group while the outside world watches helplessly from surveillance monitors. Directed by John Eric Dowdle and produced by M. Night Shyamalan, Devil is a pressure cooker of moral dread and supernatural punishment wrapped in a locked-room mystery. Each minute ticking toward judgment, truth claws its way to the surface, and guilt is the key that opens the final door. Number 9, Tony. Tony is a reclusive loner who struggles to interact with the world around him, moving through life in a haze of social anxiety and quiet desperation. Behind his timid demeanor lies a chilling secret. Tony is a serial killer, hiding his crimes in plain sight as he searches the streets for his next victim. Directed by Gerard Johnson, Tony is a grim character study of a socially awkward recluse whose loneliness curdles into something monstrous. Horror here is intimate, raw, and disturbingly mundane. There are no jump scares, just the slow, suffocating dread of watching a man unravel in plain sight. With every visit to his home, every awkward conversation, the unease thickens like smoke. Number 8. The Laplace's Demon.
Il meccanismo sembra bloccato.
Aprite per l'amor del cielo! Sta venendo qui il braccio!
A group of scientists is invited to a mysterious mansion perched above a remote island to witness a breakthrough in predictive algorithms. And discover that the experiment predicts their deaths with chilling accuracy. Inside with clockwork precision and under the gaze of glass-eyed mannequins, they begin dying in exact order, whose demise forecast seconds before it happens. The film is a striking black and white Italian throwback that fuses retro sci-fi with metaphysical dread. As paranoia coils tighter and time ticks down, the survivors must challenge fate itself. To be erased by a machine that leaves no room for chance. Number 7, Cold Skin.
Use your gun!
A young weather official arrives at a desolate island near the Antarctic Circle, expecting isolation. What he finds is far more terrifying. Each night, the lighthouse he shares with a grizzled veteran becomes a fortress besieged by mysterious amphibious creatures from the sea. Directed by Xavier Gens, Cold Skin is a chilling blend of Lovecraftian horror and existential dread, where the line between man and monster blurs under endless gray skies. The film drips with atmosphere soaked in salt water, loneliness, and blood as survival forces unthinkable choices. It's not just the creatures that are inhuman. It's what the cold, the fear, and the dark can do to the soul. Number 6, Mandy.
It's crazy.
In the primal wilderness of 1983, Red Miller's world shatters when a sadistic cult invades his cabin and burns his beloved Mandy alive, triggering a vengeance quest drenched in grief, fire, and psychotropic madness. What follows is a descent into neon-drenched hell as Red battles demonic bikers, hallucinates through surreal realms, and forges his own weapons of retribution. Directed by Panos Cosmatos, Mandy is a feverish, operatic nightmare, a heavy metal horror fable pulsating with synths, cosmic dread, and unrelenting violence. With Nicolas Cage howling through grief and gore, the film becomes less a revenge story and more a cosmic ritual of love, rage, and annihilation. Number 5, Unsane.
I'm not crazy!
He's here. Or maybe it's all in my head.
Sawyer Valentini relocates to escape a relentless stalker, but her fresh start turns to terror when she's involuntarily committed to a mental institution. Inside, she begins to question her sanity as she sees her stalker among the staff. Is it delusion or a living nightmare? Directed by Steven Soderbergh and shot entirely on an iPhone, Unsane traps the viewer in a world of clinical horror and psychological claustrophobia. Every fluorescent hallway, every padded room pulses with paranoia, blurring the line between reality and madness. Cold and passionate in raw immediacy, the film reels back the terror of being dismissed, unheard, and utterly powerless. Number 4, Inland Empire. An actress, Nikki Grace, lands a role in a cursed production that once led to real-life murder. Her identity begins to dissolve as she slips into a kaleidoscope of roles, timelines, and nightmares that refuse to end. It begins as method acting turns into a waking hallucination. Whisper through static and reality speakers into fragments of pain and desire. Directed by David Lynch, Inland Empire is a 3-hour descent into psychological oblivion, shot on grainy digital video and dripping with dread, repetition, dread. As Nikki's sense of self collapses, so does the world around her, until she's trapped in a fever dream of shadowed corridors and the echo of a life she may never have lived. Number 3, Calibre. Two lifelong friends head into the remote Scottish Highlands for a hunt. One horrific mistake turns their weekend into a waking nightmare. As paranoia rises and the locals close in, they're forced to confront just how far they'll go to survive, and what they're willing to live with after. Directed by Matt Palmer, Calibre is a tense, slow-burning descent into moral horror, where the real terror isn't monsters in the woods but the human capacity for living. The dense forest becomes a suffocating prison, and every decision cuts deeper than the last. With every step toward escape, the weight of guilt grows heavier, and there's no clean way out. Number 2, Tale of Two Sisters.
여자가 그런 거지. 왜 이래 버릇없이.
Changed.
After returning home from a psychiatric facility, Sumi and her younger sister Soo-young find their family estate steeped in silence, sorrow, and a stepmother whose cruelty masks something far more sinister. Shadows move where they shouldn't, and ghostly visions begin to haunt the girls as the past claws its way back into the present. Directed by Kim Ji-woon, The Tale of Two Sisters is a masterclass in Korean psychological horror. Elegant, suffocating, and layered with grief, trauma, and twisted memory. As the house unravels its secrets, reality fractures into something beautiful, terrifying, and tragically inevitable. The one I saw the river. Secret agent Kim Soo-hyun's fiancé is brutally murdered by a sadistic serial killer. Vengeance becomes his only mission. And instead of ending the monster's life, he captures and releases him again and again, turning revenge into a prolonged, merciless game. The film is a relentless, soul-crushing masterpiece of psychological and physical horror. It drags the viewer through a nightmarish cycle of torment, where justice rots into obsession and the line between hero and villain dissolves in blood. The violence is unflinching, pacing merciless, and the atmosphere drenched in dread. In this haunting descent where true horror isn't what's done to the killer, it's what revenge does to a man. There are 4 other movies you have to see. I Sell the Dead.
Real money was can resolve many things after that. Lines were there, and still bombs.
In the shadowy alleys of 18th century England, grave robbers Arthur and Willie make a living digging at corpses. The dead start returning with secrets of their own. It begins as petty theft soon leads to encounters with vampires, ghouls, and other nightmarish entities. As they sink deeper into the world of the undead, profit turns to peril. Frankenstein's army.
Only the Nazi secret something. Giving a life's path.
During the final days of World War II, a Soviet unit stumbles upon a secret Nazi laboratory filled with grotesque biomechanical monsters crafted from corpses and metal. As they explore the ruins, the soldiers are hunted by the reanimated abominations and the deranged scientists behind them. The film unfolds like a third-person descent into industrialized madness.
Ella, so easy.
High school athlete Scott seems to have it all, until he realizes someone is watching his every move. What starts as harmless admiration spirals into obsession, violence, and deadly mind games. As the stalker closes in, Scott must untangle the truth before his life unravels completely. Love hurts, especially when it won't take no for an answer. The whole truth.
Cousin blew me after you.
I didn't laugh.
After a car accident, two siblings are taken in by their grandparents, only to discover a mysterious hole in the wall that reveals dark family secrets and ghostly apparitions. As time unravels, they realize their presence in the house may not be entirely their own. Reality distorts with every glance through the wall, peeling back layers of betrayal and death.
1, 2. Where are you?
Reset the car, powerful kicker. Out of mind.
Step into the shadows with 20 scary hidden horror gems you can stream right now. From post-mountain scares to twisted tales of terror, these chilling picks will crawl into your mind and stay there. Number 20, Girl Who Got Away.
I can't understand what happened.
Are you sure this ain't what I told Chris?
Christina Bogan thought she left her worst nightmare behind. Till Elizabeth Caulfield, the female serial killer who abducted 5 children decades earlier, was freed from prison and targeted at the top of her list. The only victim who survived. 2 decades after those horrors, Christina is rebuilding her life as a school teacher and preparing to adopt, to replace a lost path with purpose. As people close to her begin to die in brutal ways, suspicion and dread gather around her like shadows in a storm. Arthur Morrissey directs this chilling horror thriller, dreading atmospheric dread through slow burn tension. Makes it unnerving estate she abandoned years ago. Accompanied by Callum, the man driving the car that crashed, she tries to reconnect with her mother, father, and siblings, but all is not as it seems. Strange whispers echo down the corridors. Siblings exchange hostile glances, and clues from her past suggest she may never have left under benign circumstances. As she chases her own history, she uncovers twisted family secrets that call into question her sanity, her identity, even her survival. Directed by Adam Levins, Estranged wears its gothic atmosphere like a shroud, creepy, suffocating, and haunted by resentments too deep to die. Number 18, The Orchard. Craig and Elise Landry live a quiet suburban life until their young son is kidnapped and murdered, shattering their world in an instant. The justice system delivers a sentence far too lenient for the monster responsible. The grieving parents take matters into their own hands. Fueled by fury and sorrow, they abduct the killer and imprison him in a secluded cabin, determined to make him suffer. But as the days drag on and the line between justice and cruelty begins to blur, the tormentor's silence starts to unravel a terrifying truth. Directed by Robert, The Orchard is a merciless descent into vengeance where grief begins hope. Immorality rots in isolation. It's a bleak, relentless experience that feeds on the darkest corners of parental pain. Number 17, The Deeper You Dig.
I need you to help me find what happened to her. But you can't help me find.
The dark aftermath of a roadside accident, the boundary between life and death unravels for a grieving mother and a guilt-haunted stranger. Echo, a teenage girl with a rare spiritual connection, vanishes in the crash, and her mother Ivy is left racked by visions and tarot-fueled dread. The neighbor responsible buries more than bodies. He buries memories, denials, and a guilty conscience. But Echo will not stay hidden. As supernatural whispers tug at reality's edges, mother and killer spiral toward a reckoning rooted in trauma, occult symbols, and restless spirits. The film is a slow, burning spiritual horror that haunts small-town quiet with funeral resonance, endless echoes, and the terror that some truths claw their way back from the grave. Number 16, Dark Was the Night. Sheriff Paul Shields returns to his fraying hometown of Maiden Woods hoping for a fresh start, still haunted by a family tragedy. But all seems calm until disappearances ripple through the nearby forest. When loggers vanish without a trace and strange hoof-shaped footprints appear around town, Paul and his newly arrived deputy Donnie Saunders plunge into a nightmare neither could anticipate. As they chase signs through the snow-clad woods and claw marks in the bark, chilling truth surfaces. Something ancient and monstrous is stalking their lives. The film blends rural dread and personal sorrow into creature horror with a slow burn tension. It's unsettling, atmospheric, and pulses with dread as the line between folklore and reality begins to crack. Number 15, Something in the Dirt.
Scientific terms matter. I don't think anything.
Levi, freshly moved into a shabby LA apartment, befriends his neighbor John after they begin witnessing bizarre phenomena. As crystals levitate, strange tremors, and ghostly lights piercing reality. They decide to film their experiences as a makeshift documentary, driven by ambition, curiosity, and inspiration. But as the phenomena intensify, partnership fractures under paranoia, obsession, and unanswered horrors. Something in the Dirt blends cosmic dread, mockumentary realism, and existential tension. Begins as an amateur investigation, spirals into a maddening confrontation with forces that refuse to be framed or understood, leaving both men to question whether the real terror lies in the unknown, within themselves. Number 14, A House on the Bayou. Jessica and John Chambers arrive at a secluded Louisiana mansion with their daughter Anna, seeking to mend their fractured marriage after John's affair comes to light. It begins as a quiet family retreat quickly shifts when two unsettling locals, Isaac and his grandpappy, turn up uninvited under the guise of dinner guests. As subtle manipulations escalate into psychological terror, the veneer of hospitality peels back to reveal a darker supernatural agenda lurking beneath the bayou's still waters. Directed and written by Alex McCauley, the film weaves domestic woes with southern gothic dread and moral unraveling. It lingers in the mind as a twisted meditation on betrayal, control, and the horrifying cost of secrets. 13, tunnel.
Directly below one of Sydney's busiest train stations is the forgotten water resource that's causing all the controversy.
Journalist Natasha Warner investigates a government cover-up beneath the streets of Sydney. She and her crew descend the city's abandoned tunnel system to uncover the truth. It begins as a simple expose that turns into a claustrophobic nightmare as the team realizes they're not alone, and whatever stalks them in the dark is neither human nor merciful. Trapped in miles of forgotten passageways, their equipment begins to fail, communications vanish, and each turn reveals more darkness than light. Panic sets in as they lose each other, their sanity and any hope of escaping the underground maze alive. The tunnel is a nerve-shredding found footage descent into isolation, paranoia, and primal terror that festers in places no light dares reach. Number 12, Brooklyn 45.
You're not gonna drag us into a fight with you. This madness is over. This war is up.
Old war-torn friendships rekindle in a dusty Brooklyn parlor when 5 World War II veterans reunite to support their grieving commander in the wake of personal tragedy. We gather around cocktails and candlelight, and under Clive Hochstadter's insistence, they attempt a seance to contact his late wife, opening a spectral door they never meant to touch. Lead through walls, doors lock themselves, and allegiances shift like shadows. Trust fractures and guilt rises to haunt every soul in the room. 45 is a real-time chamber horror that traps its characters in a claustrophobic conduit between war guilt, the supernatural, and past's bleeding echo. Number 11, Buddha.
Me llaman cerda. Oink, oink, oink.
Sarah lives under the roof of a cruel nickname, Piggy, and the relentless jeers of her classmates. On a sweltering afternoon at the public pool, the torment escalates. Police steal her belongings, leave her stranded in a swimsuit, mock every inch of her. Walking home humiliated and exposed, Sarah witnesses something unspeakable. Tormentors being forced into a van by a shadowy stranger. Complexity, fear, and a desperate desire for justice, Sarah navigates a twisted path through silenced threats and the dark underbelly of a rural town. Piggy is a brutal fusion of social horror and slasher tropes. The real monster might be shame. This is never me. There are 4 other movies you have to see. The Blackening.
There's a crazy person out here with us.
A group of black friends reunite for a Juneteenth getaway in a remote cabin, only to be hunted by a masked killer obsessed with cultural trivia and twisted games. It begins as a celebration spirals into a deadly contest where every wrong answer costs blood. Trapped and forced to play along, they must rely on each other, their knowledge of horror tropes, to survive the night. Subspecies 5, Blood Rise. In this gothic prequel, Radu is a Dhampir knight betrayed by his order and seduced by vampiric power. His descent into darkness begins as he seeks vengeance, an accursed relic tied to his bloodline. But soaked and tragic, it's the origin story of one of horror's most enduring vampires, Visitors. He moves into a charming countryside house, only to be haunted by strange noises and eerie events that grow harder to ignore. As their peaceful life crumbles, the father seeks help from a paranormal expert, who dies in mysterious circumstances. Shadows in the attic, restless spirits, and unraveling sanity threaten to tear the family apart. Malum.
We pray in the temple of the Lord God.
Officer Jessica Lowen volunteers for the last shift at a soon-to-be shuttered police station. It's the site of a mass cult suicide. As the night unfolds, she's tormented by sinister visions and a deepening connection to her father's violent past. Trapped between reality and the occult, Jessica faces a legacy soaked in blood. 10, A Great Show. Gus Hackle is a disillusioned everyman stuck in a dead-end job, living with nagging expectations and nursing heartbreak, until one morning he awakens to find a bomb surgically implanted at the base of his neck. sci-fi and puppetry, animating human dread through lifelike dolls and visceral conspiratorial terror. What sets it apart is how it moves the inhuman uncanny, clothed acts, the contorted puppets, the uneasy blurring of autonomy and control, into a visceral psychological nightmare. Number 9, Open Grave. The man awakens in a pit of corpses, disoriented and stripped of all memory, surrounded by silence and decay. He stumbles upon a nearby house where others, equally lost and confused, share the same haunting void in their minds. Tension thickens as they discover remnants of violence scattered throughout the area, all pointing towards something horrific in their forgotten pasts. Paranoia festers, alliances fracture, a creeping realization sets in. Someone among them may be the architect of their nightmare. Paid back, truth emerges, twisted and bloodstained, more disturbing than any of them imagined. Open Grave is a bleak atmospheric descent into the terror of lost identity and buried sins, where every revelation cuts deeper and no one escapes untouched. Number 8, Dust Devil. Wendy Robinson flees her troubled marriage and drives into the South African desert, where she picks up a mysterious hitchhiker named Hitch, oblivious to the fact she's invited a demon to ride shotgun. He's no ordinary man, but a shape-shifting entity known among locals as the Dust Devil, feeding on sorrow and ritual, help kill in order to maintain his supernatural existence. As Wendy's husband trails her across the desert and a haunted police sergeant investigates a string of ritual murders, Desert's blistering heat becomes a hallucinatory battleground for possession, fate, grotesque. Dust Devil merges mythic dread with visceral horror, its arid landscapes breathing an eldritch life of their own. Number 7, The Seasoning House. Angel is a young deaf and mute orphan abducted in war and thrust into a brothel deep in the woods, forced to serve as caretaker to other captive girls. Under the brutal eye of Victor, she dresses, drugs, and cleans the women before and after their ordeals. Silent, unseen, but always watching from hidden crawl spaces. When the militia responsible for her family's massacre returns, the balance of control shatters and Angel's buried rage takes over. Dark labyrinths between walls, she stalks, crafts, and strikes back. The film marries horror and heartbreak in a grim, oppressive theater of revenge. The silence becomes a weapon and salvation a pungent, ruthless agency. Number 6, I Am Not a Serial Killer.
Ted Bundy said that after you kill somebody, if you had enough time, you'd go, shut up, shut up.
16-year-old John Wayne Cleaver struggles under the weight of his own dark impulses. Diagnosed as a sociopath, he has constructed rooted rules and rituals to prevent himself from crossing the line he both fears and feels drawn toward. He works at his mother's funeral home, where death is always close, and obsesses over serial killer psychology to stay one step ahead of his own urges. When a string of bizarre murders rocks his quiet midwestern town, his missing organs, strange oil slicks, and inexplicable transformations, John realizes that a supernatural predator may be at work. As he edges closer to the truth, he must reconcile his desire for control with the chaos he hunts. The film blends coming-of-age, horror lore, and moral paradox into a chilling character study where the monster next door may be more human than imagined. Number 5, Grabbers.
I'm pissed.
A bloodthirsty alien creature crashes onto Aaron Island, the remote Irish community braces for terror. It discovers the only way to survive is by getting drunk. Garda Kiara O'Shea and a double drinker is paired with the earnest newcomer Lisa Nolan, who arrives just as mutilated widow corpses wash ashore and disappearances mount. Locals realize the invading grabbers thrive on human blood. Can't stand high blood alcohol content, so the town's survival hinges on a chaotic blitz of pub fuel and bravado. As a storm cuts them off from the mainland, alliances form, love stirs, and the fight for survival becomes a rollicking cocktail of gore and gallows humor. Grabbers is a boozy monster mash that blends creepy horror and comedic flair into a weird, wild, and unforgettable night on a haunted Irish isle. Number 4, Kidnapped. Jaime, Marta, and their teenage daughter, Issa, move into their dream home in a gated Madrid suburb, hoping for a fresh start, only to have their first night ignited by unspeakable terror. Three masked intruders burst through windows and doors, turning every corner of the house into a battleground of fear. The leader drags Jaime away under threat of violence, forcing him to withdraw money while Marta and Isa remain trapped with the remaining assailants. As lines blur between predator and prey, Operation Fool's resistance and danger spirals beyond control. Kidnapped is a ruthless home invasion nightmare filled with long unbroken takes that leave you trapped in every corridor of dread. It's a brutal, unrelenting descent into a family's worst hour, where sanctuary fractures and survival becomes the only instinct. Three little monsters.
How do you like it, huh?
David, down on his luck musician ruling from heartbreak, agrees to chaperone his nephew Felix's kindergarten field trip to win over the class's teacher, Miss Caroline. The excursion turns into chaos when a U.S. research facility's zombie contagion breaks loose nearby, thrusting the farm outing into a full-blown apocalypse. Dave, Miss Caroline, and the showy children's host Teddy McGiggle must band together to protect terrified kids from the undead while navigating betrayal, survival, and unexpected heroism. The film terrifies and delights by making monsters out of viruses, and by showing how even unlikely heroes can rise in gore-soaked fear. Number 2, Dream Home. Jing Lai Shun is a driven young professional in Hong Kong who claws and scrapes to save enough money to buy her dream apartment perched above Victoria Harbor. When escalating real estate prices, medical bills for her father, property deal betrayals push her over the edge, she hatches a murderous scheme to force her way into the home she desires. In a brutal kill in the apartment complex, the cost of her ambition becomes drenched in blood and horror. Dream Home is a savage fusion of social satire and slasher excess, exposing the cruelty of economic desperation through graphic spectacle. It lingers like a fever dream, where aspiration morphs into vengeance and the home you fought for may become your doom. Nothing bad can happen. Tor, a devout young man drawn to an underground Christian punk movement known as the Jesus Freaks, believes he has found a purpose beyond his aimless existence. When he helps repair a stranger's car as if by divine intervention, he is invited to the man's household and gradually becomes part of their life. With an ear of kindness, Patriarch Benno's cruelty simmers. Began as hospitality descends into a merciless test of faith, identity, and suffering. He endures escalating abuse with unshaken control as the boundaries between devotion and sadism collapse. The film is a harrowing psychological horror drama that locks purity against perversion and leaves the soul bleeding in darkness. There are 4 other movies you have to see. Ready for Dirty bombs strike Los Angeles, a cloud of toxic ash forces Brad to seal himself inside his home. His wife Lexi returns too late and is locked outside, sparking a moral crisis between love and survival. As the hours pass and news becomes scarce, paranoia festers and fear turns their home into red. Clock.
Time. Reset car out of time.
Ella, pressured by society and family to have children, enrolls in a clinical trial to correct the biological clock. The treatment triggers disturbing hallucinations and physical horrors, unraveling her sanity and autonomy in terrifying ways. Begins as a medical fix spirals into a body horror nightmare of forced conformity. Who's watching Oliver? Oliver is a disturbed loner controlled by his sadistic mother, wandering Bangkok's red light districts on a brutal mission of rape and murder. Hidden behind thick glasses and a childlike smile, his life is one of violent rituals and filmed atrocities. When he meets Sophia, a kind, curious woman who begins to dream of escape and redemption. The deeper he falls into love, the more unstable and dangerous his reality becomes. Leave. The young woman abandoned as a baby in a cemetery returns to Norway to uncover the mystery of her origins. The search awakens a vengeful spirit, warning her to leave before she exposes long-buried family secrets. So she gets to the truth. the more the dead refuse to stay buried.